Hi, in today's video I'm going to show you how to make 5 tool hangers in under 15 minutes. I started out by laying out the pattern for my reciprocating saw. I simply made a 15-inch by 9-inch drawing and a duplicate out of one piece of scrap plywood. I then cut blocks from a simple 1x4 that I had on hand. I ripped them all down to size on my table saw. To make lining up the support pieces easier, I pre-drilled 2 holes for the screws through the back of the support. At this point I realized I really need a better miter sled. This is just a 1x4 screwed into the back of the one that came with the saw. Not that great. I glued and screwed the cleat onto the back of the board. I fixed it using brad nails at first and then came back later with some screws. I'm trying out a new technique of starting the screws for the support pieces. That way I can line up how to brad nail them. It worked okay. Screwing in the support pieces through the back so none of the screws are seen. Here I realized one of the screws split the support piece because it drove into a knot. I fixed that up and reattached a new one. Gave it a quick hit with an orbital sander to smooth out the rough edges, make it look a little bit nicer. And now for the test fit. Not too shabby for about 15 minutes worth of work. For my impact driver, I quickly measured out the layout. I realized about a 10x7 board would suffice. Using a similar method as before, just with slightly smaller pieces. In fact, these are 1x4s split in half. Trying to get the alignment right, testing some options. I realized that this angle piece would be the best because that way when I put it on the wall, it slid right into place where it should be without having all the weight on the trigger mechanism. I traced out where the support blocks would go on each of the boards in each of these builds. Once you get going, the process is pretty similar. So as not to mar up the tools as they hang on the wall, I hit all the support pieces with an orbital sander to round out the edges. Just like before, used some simple wood glue onto the back of the cleat and then affixed it with brad nails. I chose not to screw this one in because the total weight wasn't very much and most of the support comes from the wood glue. Again, I used the pilot hole method to line up where my supports go. This time around I decided not to use screws into this one. I just used simple 1.5" brad nails. Test fitting before it goes on the wall. Comes in and out relatively easily. Again, simple project, 15 minutes, mostly scrap pieces. Here's my dewalt drill driver. It's a little bit bigger, so I used an 8x10 piece, following the same thing as before for the impact driver. Cut down a 1x4 down the middle to make simple small blocks, lined them up where I wanted to, traced them out real quick. A little bit of rinse and repeat here, wood glue, brad nails, done. Again, just use some simple 1.5" brad nails to affix the support pieces to the back side. You line it up as best as you can using the outline tracings you made. It doesn't have to be exactly perfect, but just get it in the right area. After quick test fitting, making sure everything looks good, up on the wall it goes. Here with my cordless table saw, I found out the best method to figure out the width of the board was to take the base plate and then add 2 inches all around. Here I am making sure that the supports that'll hold the saw onto the board are lined up and have enough spacing all around. Since I'm going to be using 3/4 inch plywood, I figured it was easy to use a piece of scrap. I'm tracing the opening for the saw blade guard onto the backing, which I'll later cut out so that it's easier to put the saw onto the table. I cut out 2 support pieces with a 45-degree angle using the miter on my table saw. Then I adjusted the blade for a 45-degree angle cut so the top support would fit flush against the wall. I traced the support pieces outlines so that I knew how much I had to go by when gluing and screwing in. I pre-drilled the pilot holes to attach them. I actually drilled one pilot hole too close to the end, as you'll see in a little bit, where the 45-degree angle support does not fully go the full length of the back. Testing out to make sure I have it in the right orientation. This is important because I was actually building it upside down, so I needed to make sure that the bottom edge was not flush with the bottom edge of the backing. Simple pin nail into the back. There I'm applying a little bit of wood glue so the top will remain secured. I honestly don't remember why I spent well over several minutes just brushing the glue on. I don't know, maybe I find it appealing to watch wood glue get brushed onto wood? Who knows? Anyways, just applied some wood glue, then affixed the top with brad nails at first, and then screwed it in. And this is the moment where I realized the miter gauge doesn't exactly cut at a 45-degree angle. Nothing a little pressure won't apply. And this is the moment where I realized my mistake. I attached the back of the board without cutting out the insert first. Because I had already added the glue and the brad nails, I decided to go ahead pre-drilling the screw holes to affix the backing to the side supports. Simple countersunk with some 1.5-inch screws. Here's my creative solution to the problem that I actually created myself. I strapped the back to a board, took a Forstner bit and drilled 2 starter holes into it so that way I could try and get a saw. But then when I went to drill the second hole, I actually blew out the back and couldn't get the drill bit back out. Fun times. I then took the circular saw and made a plunge cut to help with cutting out most of the opening, which I finished up with a simple hand saw and actual oscillating tool to make the cut and finish the opening. Didn't come out too bad. Here I am just hitting it up, all the rough edges, smoothing them out, making sure that it's nice and clean so that there's no splitting, splinters, etc. Last thing to do is to attach some 3/4 by 3/4 trim pieces to hold the saw in at the angle. I just used simple wood glue and brad nails to fix this through. Super woodworking tip, make sure you don't have 2-inch long brad nails going through 1 inch of material, because then you quickly realize that, oh, you put the nail through the back of the support. After measuring the distance of the cleat, I just affixed it to the back using wood glue, brad nails, and some countersunk screws. This one took a little bit more than 15 minutes just because of the mistakes I made. Still, not too bad for scrap wood. For the final build, I laid out all the pieces needed to make an orbital sander holder, plus shelving for all the pieces of sandpaper. Because I was using some scrap hardboard as the shelves, I measured the depth gauge to be about 1/2 of the 3/4 inch plywood, meaning 3/8, and then I proceeded to make 3 cuts per shelf because my hardboard was actually 3/8 inches thick. Pre-drilled all the assembly holes, countersunk as well, and then test fitted to make sure that everything would come together before utilizing simple 1.5" wood screws to hold it all together. I marked an arrow on each of the shelving sides so that they were facing in the same direction, just so that the shelving pieces lined up, and also the bottom shelf is a little bit wider than the rest. This is the hardboard that I cut down to the proper shelving pieces, gave them a quick sanding because they had some leftover spray paint and just other junk on it. After adding a top trim pieces, everything fits on the wall pretty nicely. Got room for plenty of sandpaper. Not too bad for 15 minutes with scrap wood. Remember to like and subscribe. I'll see you on the next one.